Hey guys, Mr. B here, bringing you a section 1.3 video on geometric sequences. So we talked about in the last couple of sections arithmetic series and arithmetic sequences. So one of the most important things to recognize with arithmetic sequences is they have a common difference. So basically it's increasing or decreasing by the same amount each and every time. Well, geometric series are a little bit different from that. They don't have a common difference. They have something that's referred to as a common ratio. And essentially what it means is increasing by a multiple of some number every time. So if you look at this series, if we want to find what the common ratio is or what it's being multiplied each time, each term is being multiplied each successive time, we simply divide the terms. So we take, say, my T2 and divide it by T1. So in our case we'd have 6 divided by 2, which would be 3. Then we try that on a couple more terms, so we'd go 18 divided by 6, and we'd get 3. So we see that each one of these terms is simply being multiplied by 3 to get the next term. So 2 times 3 is 6, 6 times 3 is 18, 18 times 3 is 54, and it would continue on and so forth until we reach the end or keep going forever. So that's the characteristic that you need to know about geometric sequences. They have a common ratio, and the symbol is R. So let's look at the general term for a geometric sequence. So the general term for a geometric sequence, of course, the general term is T of n, is equal to T1 times, you can see the brackets there, it's times R. R is the geometric common ratio, sorry. N bracket, and then n minus 1. So first term, common ratio, n minus 1, where n is the number of terms. So let's actually look at finding one of these guys for a particular sequence. So we have a similar sequence of what we just had. So let's find my common ratio. We're assuming it's geometric, of course, because that's what we're doing. 18 divided by 6, or negative 18 divided by 6 is negative 3. And then 54 divided by 18 as a check is also negative 3. So we're in business. My common ratio is negative 3. And then my T1, of course, is 6. This is my first term of the sequence. So my general term, T of n, is going to be equal to 6 times negative 3 to the n minus 1. That is my general term right there. That is it. So now this guy is useful for finding a particular term in the sequence. So we're going to find the 8th term, T8. So T8 is equal to 6 negative 3 of 8 minus 1, which is equal to negative 3 to the 7. So I don't have a very good calculator here, so Google is going to help me out here. 3, why is it being a pain? Here we go. 3 to the 7. And here we go. So 2,187. That was awkward. Here we go. And 6 times, so because I know it's going to be negative 2,187, because that's a negative 3 and an odd exponent. And my calculator can do this one. That's how good my calculator is right now. I bought this at Dollarama, actually, for $1. So negative 13,122. So that is my 8th term of that particular sequence. Alright, so that's how the general term works, and that's how you can use it. The only thing I'd be caution of is the mistake that people make is they would go, instead of here doing the exponent first and getting this number here that Google gave me, is they would go 6 times negative 3 and get negative 18 to the 7. Let's have a look at how our answer would significantly change. So negative 18 to the 7. Well, it's crazy different, right? It's a massive difference. So, I mean, you really got to follow BEDMAS, and that goes without saying, guys. And just make sure you don't make that mistake. All right, so let's look at this guy. Find the number of terms in the sequence. So, let's look at first making our general term. So let's look at common ratio. So common ratio is going to be 32 divided by 16, which is, of course, 2. So that's my common ratio. And we could check it again. 64 divided by 32 is also 2. This is my nth term, which I have no idea what it is. That's what we're trying to find. So my common rate, or my general term, looks like this: 16 times 2 to the n minus 1. Well, I don't know what t of n is. Well, what n is, but I know what t of n is. It's 4096. So let's see, 4096 is equal to 16 2 to the n minus 1. I need to find a way to be able to isolate n here by itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is divide both sides by 16. And let's see what's going on here. So 4096 divided by 16, if my math serves me correct, is 512. And this guy here is now just 2 to the n minus 1. So what would be really, really great if I could write this as a base 2. So have it with 2 to the what gives me, so 2 to some number gives me 512. Well, 2 to the, I was going to say 2 to the 7, but I think it's 2 to the 8. Well, I'm not going to be wrong here, so 2 to the 8 equals 256, so it's actually 2 to the 9. So 2 to the 9 is 512. So 2 to the 9 is 512. Let me just check to make sure that... Yeah, actually this number should be 2. So my mental math did not serve me correctly. It's 256 here. So then this should be 256. Alright, we're okay. So this is going to be 2 to the 8 is equal to 256. So this is 2 to the 8, which is 256. So I'm just replacing that. Is 2 to the n minus 1. So essentially what I have now is 2 to some number, or 2 to the 8 is equal to 2 to some number minus 1. Well, what number do I put in for n such that this whole exponent is equal to 8? Well, if you're not sure, then we can look at solving this little guy here. So n is equal to 8 plus 1, or 9. So that is how many terms I have in this particular sequence. Now, always a good idea to check this kind of thing after you get it done. So just stick this in, 9 right here, 2 to the 9 minus 1 times 16. Let's see if Google can be smart enough for us now. So 2 to the 9 is 512. We already figured that out. Or 9 minus 1 would actually be 8. Now we're going to times this guy by 16, and we get our answer, 4096. So we're okay. So yeah, that's our answer. Now I guess there might be other ways you can do it, but this is how I would do it. Trial and error might be one way of doing it, I guess, where you can try, 2, 3, that doesn't work. Okay, maybe I'll go higher. 11, no, it's too big. Then work your way back and forth until you find one. I don't think that would work well for you on a test, so you'd probably waste a lot of time. I really think you should be familiar with how you find these, and at the very least get it down to this step. Then you can try and trial and error a little bit easier, and you might have a little bit more success with it. Alright, let's try one more. So this is similar to one we did with arithmetic series a couple of videos ago, where you have T3, so T3 right here is 54. And then we're looking for what our common ratio is. So this one is T4, T5, and T6 right here, which is negative 1458. So if I want it to get from here to here, all I could do is go times r, then times another r, then times another r, times by the common ratio several times. So essentially what I'm saying is that negative 1458 is equal to, it's going to be equal to 54 times my common ratio 3 times. So essentially, I have to multiply this guy by the common ratio 3 times. So if I multiply once, I get this number. I do it again, I get this number. And finally, I do it again, I get this number. So by doing that, and just seeing how that works, I'm able to sort of create a formula in terms of my, my common ratio. So negative 1458 is equal to 5 times r to the power 3, or r cubed, or 54, sorry. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 54. So I'm going to have negative 1458 divided by 54, and it gives me 27. What a lovely number, or negative 27, is equal to r to the 3. And of course, now I have to take the cube root of negative 27. So r is equal to, and hopefully your calculator has a function that allows you to do that. Otherwise, you can sort of understand what cube root means. What number multiplies by itself 3 times to get negative 27? Well, of course, the answer is negative 3. So r is equal to negative 3. All I said there was negative 27 is equal to negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. That's what cube root means. And that's my answer, negative 3. So you see, guys, that there are a bunch of different questions, but it all comes back down to common ratio, general term. Okay, understand those two things, and you should be okay.